So today on Facebook, I got a notification from a comment that I left on the post 3 years ago. And all the replies were like, "How dare you compare eating animals to slavery? Did you not know how bad slavery is? And how bad slaves had it? And all this shit." Okay. Like, who do these people think they're talking to that they think they're better than somebody, right? Like, something that every single person learned, every single person learned in public school and probably private school, like in the whole United States, probably in way more countries than that, like probably most of the world, something that the most of the world has learned about. I just don't know because I had the audacity to compare animal agriculture to being worse than slavery. You know what? I don't even know where these people are coming from because, in reality, over here in reality, we know that there's some of the people that were quote unquote slaves were actually liked by their owners and actually were kind of like family to them in certain ways. And yeah, they were treated better, a lot better than animals. Imagine like, uh, yeah, it's just worse. It's just worse. Like your whole existence is just to be uh, meat on somebody's plate. That's all you're seen as. You're not even seen as a person. At least slaves are kind of seen as like a person, maybe less of a person than whoever their owner was, but they're still seen as a person. Animals, you're just a piece of meat at that point. And like, I don't know. Uh, It seems pretty equal or worse to me because, yeah. But I thought it was funny that it was like a 3-year-old post and somebody wanted to come like start some new drama on a 3-year-old post saying that I'm so stupid, right? I have no idea about slavery because, like the whole United States wasn't taught the same thing. But you know what people aren't taught about? Animal agriculture. People aren't taught about factory farming. I'm sure, like, it's just ridiculous. I'm sure have a metal bolt put in your head is so much worse than being a slave and living a 5-year life when you're supposed to have a 20-year life is so much worse than being a slave. And in that 5-year time, you're probably treated worse than the slaves were. Um, yeah, imagine your whole existence. People just think that you're a steak on the plate or something and don't see you as a sentient being that loves and cares and has a soul. Um, yeah, it's pretty equivalent to slavery, if not worse. Because, like I said, these animals that they slaughter, they're not living out their whole lifespan. They're living like a fourth of their life or even less than that. Um, so there's that too. But I'm just so stupid. I never learned history in elementary school and junior high and high school. I never learned. I never learned. Y'all are just so much better and more intelligent than me. I'm just telling y'all because that's what everybody acts like all the time just because they don't understand complexity and they don't understand that everybody was taught the same thing. but they weren't taught about how animals are treated or anything like that. But and they also aren't taught about, like, they go to church every fucking day for like their whole fucking life and never taught about Daniel 1, what it says in Daniel 1, or the fact that yes, the Bible does say that they were authorized to eat meat, but it was after the flood, and nobody wants to talk about that. um, they just lean on their own interpretation, go with it, even though the Bible says not to do that. You can pick and choose whatever you want when it's convenient to you, but you can't put it in context, huh? And not to mention that, like, half of you fucking Christians think something, like, intuitive abilities and magic and stuff are evil. Yeah, there's a dark magic where you're doing all kinds of nasty shit, but, there's also, like, a lighter side, and there's the intuitive, and they're also mentioned in Daniel 1, when it talks about veganism, and that everybody thinks that you would die if you were a vegan, even though it's in the Bible. It's as old as the fucking Bible. And that's the other thing. The other comment on here that was 3 years old, it said something like, a few years on a vegan diet and you're going to notice your vitamin deficiencies. Okay, why would it take years to get a vitamin deficiency? Why would it take years? If you take a vitamin supplement, it goes through you in less than 24 hours. Why would it take years for you to end up deficient in something? Why would it take years? And it's funny because I bet half of these people are probably on carnivore now. And if you actually Google how many vitamins and minerals you're missing on a carnivore diet, it's more than anything on a vegan diet. The only thing that they can constantly bring up on vegan diet is B12. And it's funny because meat eaters are actually deficient in B12 too, because it has nothing to do with meat. Yeah. And what was the other one? Oh, they always say protein. Protein is actually built by amino acids, and if you're consuming the amino acids, your body will build the protein on its own. If you consume protein and your body has to break it down, it has to break it down to amino acids and build it back up into protein. But nobody's going to tell you that either. Like, even scientists that know the fucking truth, they're still going to write false stuff on the internet about how meat is somehow easier to digest, even though the proteins have to be broken down into amino acids and then built back into proteins in your body. But yeah, somehow it's easier just to eat meat or something. I don't know. It's easier on your digestion, even though it's all fucking up all your organs and shit. Because if you were meant to eat it, you could eat it in its raw form. You wouldn't have to pre-process it. I don't understand what kind of cultural brainwashing is so deep that you can't even get somebody out of things with logic. Like, I understand you've been eating meat since you were a child because you've been brainwashed to do that. Like, there's even posts about that too. People will be like, "Oh, my baby won't eat the meat. I have to mix it in with the squash, or I have to mix it in with the fruit for them to eat it." Yeah, you have to hide the meat, and it's so funny because all these people do is project when they go on the posts. They go into posts, and they're all like, I can't believe this person is forcing their kid to be a vegan, forcing their baby to be a vegan, but they're sitting there hiding the pureed meat and the vegetables and the fruit to even get the baby to eat it, because the baby knows better by instinct, but you keep forcing it like it's normal. You've been so culturally programmed to do this shoving in of this process nonsense, and even the baby knows better, but you're like, no, I'm the mom, I'm the parent, I know better, let me just hide it in this fruit or hide it in this vegetable, and then get the baby to eat it. And then go online and talk about how people are forcing their kids to be vegan. Y'all are ridiculous. Y'all have no logic. Talk about cults. The biggest cult ever is the meat eating cult, because you can show them a million articles, you can show them a million people who have healed themselves, you can show them a million different doctors that stand by this and have actually cured themselves and their patients by putting them on a raw food lifestyle, mostly fruit, and they still deny it, and they still want to. Carnivore is better. Of course, if I have to pre-process this thing before I eat it, it's obviously gonna be better for me than something in its raw form. Logic is just too much for people, I guess.